So we have somebody else also in the stream who's just joined. Asma Sahiba. I'm just going to add her. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can you, would you be able to, can we increase her microphone a little bit? Could you speak a little bit closer to the microphone perhaps?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me better now?
Oh yes, that's a bit better. Jazakallah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So in a few words, could you so we've got with you we wanted to keep it at time because we have so many people who are coming in, so many people who are messaging us. And please can I remind everybody to subscribe to the channel, to share this amongst your friends, to share this on social media. And so I'm just going to get, so please go ahead, take it away. Tell us about your background, where you're from, and what made you join the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in Islam.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. So my name is Asma, and I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey to Islam and Ahmadiyya. So I'm actually from UK, but I found out about Islam and Ahmadiyya when I moved to Georgia to to start my medical journey. So from UK, I went to a different country, this country called Georgia, in 2020 when COVID started in April. So that's when I went to Georgia to start my medical career, and that's where I discovered Islam Ahmadiyya. So for the first time, actually, I heard the word Ahmadis was when I was actually sat with a group of friends who were British Pakistanis, and they spoke about persecution like of Ahmadis that's happening in Pakistan. Bear in mind, I've never heard the word Ahmadis or who they are, anything. Hearing this, I really, really felt heartbroken when they were talking about the people getting persecuted because of certain beliefs that they have. And now I've always, always, always believed in my heart that no Muslim, actually no human being should ever get persecuted for us just because they believe in certain faith or they have certain beliefs. So hearing that, I felt really heartbroken for all the innocent people in Pakistan that they were being killed for having a certain belief. So I mentioned to my friends saying, if our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was alive today, he would have been very disheartened by this action. And so, like I said, bear in mind, I had no idea what Ahmadi beliefs were, who they were at that time. This was the first time I had encountered the word Ahmadi. So moving to Georgia was very difficult as I had to leave my family behind at this point. Also, COVID had also become quite intense, leading to restriction, put out in places on going to university. So our university was actually closed, so we were still able to continue our studies online. I felt overall this period was very challenging for me, especially leaving my family behind, moving to a different country, and I wouldn't have uni, so I'm like stuck at home all the time in a flat. So there was an individual who helped students settle into the country. So after a few months being in Georgia, I required their assistance. So with a few academic matters, after which we started to conversate about Islam and the death of Isa alayhi salam, which for me was very interesting topic. I always found that because in my family, I think I probably was the only person who was very interested in Islam. I always wanted to know more about Islam. I always did my own research. Surprisingly, I've never come across about Ahmadiyya before, but this individual asked me what my thoughts were on Isa alayhi salam. And I said, as a Muslim, we believe that he will come down from heaven in the latter days and save the Muslim Ummah from the Dajjal by fighting against him. So this individual said to me, is that what you really believe? I said yes, because that's what it's like a fairy tale that we know in Ahmadis, we believe that, Isa alayhi salam is going to come down in a horse. That's what we believe in, and then fight against the Dajjal. And to be honest, even before I came to Ahmadiyya, it didn't make sense to me before, even though I knew nothing about Ahmadiyya, nothing about Ahmadiyya. So to this person said to me, this individual said, I will send you few verses of the Quran, study them, go through the meaning of them. And this time Ramadan had started as well in 2020. The first verse was being it was from the Surah Al Imran, and Muhammad is only a messenger. Verily, all messengers have passed away before him. If he die, you will be slain. Will you turn your back on your heels? And who turns back on heels shall not harm Allah at all, and Allah will certainly reward the grateful. So that was one of the verses that was sent to me, and I studied this verse a lot. And now, if we think about it, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the greatest man to ever walk to the face of the earth. Then why would Allah keep Isa Alaihi Salam alive when He caused Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to die? I kept thinking, this verse is so it makes sense. It makes sense, and why God does everything. Yes, kun fayakun. Everything God can do anything, but everything happens within the law of nature. It just doesn't happen just like that. So I was thinking it just tells me that every messenger that came before Muhammad Sallallahu had passed away. And nowhere in the Quran it mentions except Isa alayhi salam. It doesn't say that Isa alayhi salam is alive. It doesn't say that, you know, anyway, so even when our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to Miraj, he saw Isa Alayhi Salam in heaven. He saw him in heaven, and he described how he looked. He looked like. So, and then we know that once you go to heaven, you don't come back, and we know that it's the same for Isa Alayhi Salam as well.
Asma Saiba, would you like to share with us if you have any signs that you
Yes.
witnessed the truth of Ahmadiyya Islam? Please feel free to share
Yes.
them,
Sorry, I've
or
got
if you
a
prefer,
few more.
go on.
Yeah, sorry. I've got a few more things to say actually. That's one of the verses that I was talking about. Then if you look into another second verse, so I was actually sent 4 very important verses by the individual. So one of them mentioned like Surah Al Imran, one of the verses. There's another actually verse from Surah Ibrahim. So the verse is being, and we have not sent any messenger except with the language of his people in order that he might make things clear to them. Then Allah lets go astray whom He wills and guides whom He will, and He is the mighty, the wise. And that's from Surah Ibrahim. And when I read this verse, we know Isa alayhi salam was sent for Bani Israel, not for this ummah, not for Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ummah. He was sent for Bani Israel, and he came a few years, 300 years before Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, and it's what I'm trying to say in that is that Allah sent every prophet on this earth for a reason, to fulfill their duties towards God. So was Isa alayhi salam sent for Bani Israel as a Messiah to fulfill the commandments of Mosaic law. That's why he was sent for Bani Israel. So that was another verses as well. The other verse was every soul shall taste of death. I mean, every Muslim out there know this verse. Every soul shall taste of death. We all have to. So does Isa alayhi salam as well. And then so the verse goes, every soul shall taste of death, and we prove you with evil and good by the way of trial, and to us shall you be returned. And that's for Surah Al-Nabi, verses 36, I think. So in this, it really explains. It's actually kind of like self-explanatory, because here this verse tells us that every soul will taste death. Every human must die and return to Lord. Just like Prophet ﷺ was a human being, so was Isa alayhi salam. And the 4th verses was being, I said nothing. This is from Surah Al-Maidah, verses 118.
That's can I what we particularly thank you very much for those verses. I mean, very excellent commentary you've given on them as well. I want to ask you a very simple question. How has your spirituality changed? How has your relationship with Allah, with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how has this changed?
Just before I answer the question, I'd actually just wanted to I wanted to say about few of my dreams that actually occurred just before I accepted Prophet Sallallahu
Yes, please.
because I feel like it was very important for me. After doing the research that I've done, I wanted to obviously know more about Ahmadiyya. Or sorry, not Ahmadiyya. At this point, I don't know anything about Ahmadiyya. So I got in touch with this individual, and this person gave me a book called Jesus in India, and then philosophy teaching of the philosophy of teaching of Islam, and I started reading. As I was started reading this book, I feel like I never read anything like that before. It was honestly very immensely beautifully and eloquently written, especially the philosophy of the teaching of Islam. It really emotionally, spiritually, really moved me, and I believe that not anyone and everyone can write a book like that. So after that, I started doing my own studies. I started watching MT after reading those books. Then I also read Runha's Ark, and then even though in my heart I knew the truth, after reading those books, what was the truth, and I started praying because I kind of knowing the truth, I didn't want to accept it. I was in denial that this could be the reality that Prophet ﷺ has been, and I don't know anything about it. So I started crying and started waking up for Tahajjud every day, doing my 5 daily prayer. And then this is when I begged God for an answer, and this is where my first dream occurred, and where actually I was in a mosque that I used to attend when I was a young girl. There was I was surrounded by children who were learning Arabic, and I asked the children if they knew about the Ahmadi Jamaat, but I knew the children weren't Ahmadi themselves. So I began to tell them about Jamaat Ahmadiyya and the Prophet Muhammad had come. While I was telling them about the Prophet ﷺ, Imam of the mosque entered the same room, and he began to oppose me, and he began to opposing my views on Jamaat, which we see now. In that's what's happening, and that's what's happening in my dream. And he tried to actually silence me from telling the children. And I said to him, I carried on defending Ahmadiyya against the Imam, and said to him that he could not stop me from telling the children. I also saw my brother who was also defending the Ahmadi beliefs as well. Um, so after having this dream, actually, I had a second dream, and at this point, I didn't want to still accept the truth. I was still in denial. So in my second dream, I was sat with 3 boys between what looked like the age of 10 to 15 years old, who were in the room reciting Holy Quran in front of Imam, and as if they looked like they were in Saudi, and the Imam looked to be of Saudi origin. So one of the boys started telling me they wanted to go back to Jamaat Ahmadiyya, but not to tell the Imam. Because they were scared, they were telling me, "Don't tell the Imam, otherwise he's going to tell us off." And I said to them, "If you want to go back to Qadian, if you want to go back to Jamaat, you should." Because all the 3 boys that were talking to me, they want to go back to Qadian, they want to go back to Jamaat, but the Imam is stopping them. And then after the dream, I actually woke up feeling very restless and thinking what's happening to me. And again, even after seeing the dream, I was still again in denial, but I never stopped praying. I always had open heart, that open heart. I was praying to God every day, waking up for Tahajjud. 3 months later, I had another dream, and that was my last dream before I actually accepted Islam Ahmadiyyat.
And so
So in my,
both of your dreams seem to indicate opposition.
yes,
Um,
yes, yeah,
and is
which
that
I was
something that
actually
you face?
facing from my friends. If I was actually facing at this point, I asked my friends if they knew anything about Ahmadiyyat, and they told me to stay away from Ahmadis, their kafir, a lot of things that they told me, which actually didn't stop me. If anything, it motivated me to look into it even more.
Mm.
And then when I saw my third dream, in my third dream, I was holding our current beloved Hazur hand, taking bath, and I saw a line of girls wearing black hijab who also taking bath together at beloved Huzur hand. And whilst I was taking bath, I also asked Huzur to lead my nikah, which that's exactly how it happened, what I saw in my dream. It actually came true. I just want to say one thing. My third dream that I saw when I went to Jalsa last year for the first time, and when I was taking bath, and I always get very emotional. when I was taking bath, it was overwhelming sense of like familiarity that washed over me. And I felt like I had been there before. And I remembered my dream. In my dream, when I was taking bath, it was in Jalsa that I was doing it. And when I looked back, I saw a line of girls, all my sisters in Islamic Ahmadiyya, we were all taking bath together. It was, and I I was told by non-Ahmadis to stay away from Huzur because he's a magician. He would do this, he'd do that. But when I saw him at Jalsa, and the speeches he delivered by our prophet, by our beloved Huzur, it really deeply nourished my spirit and really, really ignited newfound passion for my faith. Seeing him in person, I was really, really taken back by the righteous aura, that surrounded him. A really, really true embodiment of wisdom and nur. I've never seen anything like that in my whole entire life. It really, people told me that non-Ahmadis, they don't follow the teaching of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And if I tell you, it's only I've ever seen in Ahmadis that who actually really follow the true teaching of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Huzur, nothing. Every time, if you see his speech, whether it be empty or any speech, he always, 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 always refers back to Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then people
Yeah,
say that he
that's a very profound point, and a very lovely point. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate the time you've taken and the opening your heart out to the audience as well, to tell us how you, from the Quran all the way through to your experiences, all the way to the fulfillment of your dreams. Thank you very much. Bahut shukriya. Jazakallah.
I just want to say one thing to all my non-Ahmadis brothers and sisters. Please just have an open heart. You don't have to hate anyone. Like, you don't have to hate anybody, or you don't have to call kafir. Just have an open heart. Do your research. Just pray to God. That's all I did. Is I just prayed to Allah to guide me towards the right path. I said to God, please hold my right hand and guide towards me to the right path. That's all I ever asked for. I woke up for tahajjud every single day and asked for guidance, and this is what happened. And my life has changed ever since. And please, I just want to say to my non-Ahmadis brothers, please do have an open heart, read the books, do your own research. You don't have to listen to other people. You can go read books and see the truth for yourself.
MashaAllah. I mean, Allah is
Amazing.
Al-Hadi.
Subhanallah.
Allah is
Subhanallah.
Al-Hadi is what she said. Tawakkullah. Trust in Allah.
Subhanallah. It is Allah who directs, it seems, the people to Ahmadiyya, Allah Himself.